Get through the right morning every day. Every morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adelaide's Jody and Hazy on Nova.
It's been a hell of a few days for the Stevens family.
Yeah, so the young man who hit and killed the police commissioner's son during Schoolies celebrations in Goolwa last year has avoided jail. So Dhiren Randhawa, who is 19 years old, sat silent in the dock of the district court as the judge said Randhawa had fled the scene after striking Charlie, but he'd done it out of panic, shock and disbelief. So he was sentenced to 1 year, 1 month and 7 days, but that was suspended. So that effectively means he doesn't have to go to prison. He can't drive for 10 years, though. Charlie's dad, Police Commissioner Grant Stevens, had this to say after the sentencing.
We're grateful that this part of the entire process is over. Each court date that's come up has been difficult, stressful and emotional for our family. We're grateful that Dhiren chose to plead guilty to this offence because that brought this part of it to a conclusion much more quickly. It's one of those things that we are continuing to learn how to live with.
There's no way that you could understand what that process would be like unless you actually went through it as a family.
And the takeaway from all of this is there's no winners. I mean, that kid avoided jail, but his life is in tatters. His family's life is in tatters, as is the Stevens family's life. It begs the question, Hazy, Schoolies is coming up very shortly. It's just around the corner in late November. And I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with a mate the other day, and my kids are still young, so they're 6, 4 and 1, so that's where age is away from something like this. But the thought now of sending your kids off to schools, particularly after this particular incident last year, has it changed? And I just sort of wonder, as we get older and older and things develop more and more, what sort of place, if any, Schoolies even takes these days.
Well, I don't know about you, but the Charlie case still feels really raw. And I think, I don't know, I saw the pain firsthand at the funeral, the heartbreak, the devastation of his family and friends, what they went through in the wake of his death. And I think that's why I still feel a little bit sick about Schoolies coming up. And, I mean, you and I are good friends with Tom Wren. Tom Wren is very close to the police commissioner, and he told us firsthand of that night and that experience, and that will live with me forever, because that is a tale that no parent wants to go through. And you combine alcohol and young minds, you combine alcohol and old minds, and stupid things happen and tragedies can happen, and you're only one bad decision away from your whole life turning upside down. So, I don't know, I remember last year just waving off some kids on a bus for 10 years and doing some interviews with these kids, and I just wanted to grab these young girls, and I think because I'm the mum of 4 girls, I wanted to grab all of them collectively and just go, be careful. Be careful and make sure you make good decisions. But I think if you add alcohol in, that takes away that ability to do so, especially with these young, fragile minds.
Yeah, we're not the fun police. So
No.
we need to just stamp that down straight away. And it's not a...
Oh my God, and I'm not lecturing anyone on alcohol. I'm the absolute last person to do that. But it's scary. It's scary to see what potentially might happen.
Yeah, so it comes from a place, and it's funny, like back in the day, and I remember my mum and dad saying, you got to be so careful. I went to the Gold Coast. That's a week's worth of partying too, by the way. It's not a weekend. It's 7 days and it's full on. And I look back now and think, geez, we're quite lucky that all of us, our group, got through completely unscathed. It comes from a place now with a parent where you just don't want to put your kid in a spot where it feels like it's just an opportunity for something to go wrong. That's what Schoolies feels like to me now, because, and hopefully everything goes right and there's absolutely nothing bad that happens at all, but it's just such a mixture of opportunities for things to go pear-shaped.
Wrong, I know. And I think the reason why the Stevens case affected every single South Australian is because he acted like a parent to all of us in the pandemic, and we looked to him for guidance. And then all of a sudden something like this happens to him and you think, oh my God, that's the worst thing you can go through as a parent. What if that happens to me? So I think we need to rethink Schoolies. I really do. I know it's a regulated environment and the Green Team do wonderful things to try and keep kids as safe as possible, and there is the argument they'll go off and do it themselves somewhere else that's not regulated and there's no one watching. But I don't know. Are we condoning a situation where, here you go kids, knock yourselves out? And I don't know how I feel about it.
So we're on the same page with this. Those are our thoughts. What are yours? 13 24 10. Is there still a place for Schoolies? Are we overreacting? Are we underreacting through all of this? Should there be more measures in place? Should it be shorter? Should it be more condensed? I'm not really sure. But clearly after last year as well, there's more and more question marks raised about just how much of a need there is for Schoolies.
Are you a parent who's about to give your kids a hug and a kiss and go, off you go for a week, kids? Good luck. Deb, good morning.
Hi, how you going?
Good. Oh, you've got some kids that went through it the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've had 3 kids go through in the last 2 years. And I remember the first year going to pick my son up, and I went through the wrong caravan park initially, and then I've come through the second caravan park where he actually was. It was horrific to see the amount of damage that there was like piles of rubbish, like the beautiful volunteers who are incredible, by the way.
Yes, I agree.
They go through and clean all this stuff up. But the kids trash literally anything that can be smashed or moved. It was horrific. And a lot of and the first caravan park was all private schools, so I was blown away. The second caravan park was public schools, not as bad, but I just couldn't believe the amount of damage that was done. But the other thing is, don't forget about the alcohol. That's nothing. The drug situation is beyond belief. Like, I was mind blown by the easy access for any drug you wanted.
Wow.
See, that's...
So, I don't know, my kids will kill me for saying this. Hopefully they're not listening. But I just think the kids should go off and just organise their own little end-of-year party and have a great time. But bringing different schools together as well that may have a bit of beef going on with each other.
Yep.
You know, throughout the sporting years that they've had, there's always that bit of rivalry between different schools. That really comes to fruition as well at Schoolies. So, yeah, I dreaded it, to be honest. And then when I went through it for the second year, nah.
Oh, God, that's even harder because you know what's coming.
Yeah, so the situation as well with the drugs, illicit drugs, is when I went through, which was 2003.
Yep.
I can tell you right now, it was just purely and plainly alcohol. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I think drugs really, maybe 4 or 5 years after I get that, we started to think and know that drugs were a thing.
Yeah.
And now to hear that, youngsters, it's such a incredibly open and situation of their life to be going through that. I didn't even get it into my head that drugs could be an option.
Oh, same. Well, I'm with you. I mean, I was a little bit earlier than you, as you document, you know, with alarming regularity on this show. But drugs weren't a thing. They just definitely weren't a thing. So that's a bit scary to hear that. Claire, good morning.
Hi, Jodie and Hazy. How are you going?
Oh, your son's going through this year.
He is.
Oh, how do you feel about that?
I'm terrified about it. I mean, he thinks that I'm a big fat drama queen, but I just am aware of what kind of stuff that these kids do. And, you know, I know that he's a good kid. I know that his mates are good kids, but I also know that they do trash, like the last lady that was on, you know, they trash everything. And I think it should be a law that none of these kids are allowed to have their vehicles down there. They should all be dropped. No one should have a car because it's like temptation to get in the car.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you just can't be naive and think that they don't get up to stupid stuff because they're 17 and 18 years old. You know, that's when stupid stuff is at its absolute, you know, worst.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's quite scary because, you know, because of what happened last year with Charlie and, like, that's just, it's horrible.
100%. That's a very good solution too, by the way, Claire, to not have a car down there because you're right, it's just an extra element for kids to potentially get themselves in trouble. Thank you so much for your call. And what we will say as well is that your other son, Gussie, who is just a magnificent young man, he'll be Prime Minister one day, I reckon.
Yeah, no doubt.
We have quite a lot to do with Gussie.
Yeah.
Please say hello to him for us.
Thank you, Claire.
I will. Thank you, beautiful people.
Thank you. Hey, just to round this out, I'm just standing here thinking, my oldest who went through Schoolies a couple of years ago, I think back now, I had not too much communication with her during the week, and it wasn't till 6 months, 12 months afterwards that she started to confess a few of the things that happened, and geez, they weren't pretty.
Yeah.
And I think if I had have known at the time, I probably would have driven down there, picked her up and said, come home with me
She
immediately.
probably knows that you were going to do
That's
that.
exactly why she wouldn't tell me.
Yeah. A lot of calls coming through on 13 24 10. We're talking about schoolies, and if indeed there is still a place for it. And if so, like what are some alternatives or maybe some ways to manage the situation from being just to be a little bit less dangerous?
Yeah, and I guess this is quite topical at the moment because we had a verdict in the Charlie Stevens case, which was the ultimate tragedy that happened last year, and not just two young men's lives were horrendously affected, but their families as well. And we have to ask the question as adults, are we doing the right things by our kids by sending them off to an environment where you go, okay, we know that there's going to be alcohol, potentially drugs involved, but good luck, you know. And they have a beautiful team down there called Encounter Youth who look after them as best as they can. But can you guarantee in this situation that everyone's going to be safe? I don't know.
But on top of that, they're doing their best. I think the other thing which is very alarming, particularly with the introduction to alcohol, maybe for the first time, which should be for a lot of these kids for the first time because they're just turning 18 and kids are drinking hard spirits and things like that. And we know that different people react differently to different types of alcohol and that can incite rage and all sorts of things.
Well, especially in young men, I guess,
Yeah.
and we see it in older men as well. There are certain types of spirits that you can drink that just make you angry.
I think for people who, recreationally drink responsibly, you work out which drinks you should not mix with because they don't agree with you.
But that's a process that happens in adult minds over years and years and years.
100%. It shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't be experimenting or finding out which alcohols you can and cannot consume whilst being down at schoolies. That is a recipe for disaster.
Well, 100%. Rebecca, good morning.
Hello.
You've got a solution, potentially?
Well, it's just a thought. I didn't go to schoolies. I was working, but I did have friends that were at schoolies. And like the other ladies, totally trashed. Like there was mattresses over balconies and all sorts of things. But what if there was a solution of like a more controlled environment? So like maybe Wayville Showgrounds or something. You can have a camping like package where you can camp there or you can go home, like, because it's not necessarily so far south. But, I mean, like just an elaboration on, like, the big day out or something like that back in the day, so you could still have all, like, bands or whatever playing. You could still have, like, not to be a fun place, but they could still have, like, bars for those that are legally 18 or whatever, but it's a much more controlled environment, so you can't go and get in a car and, drink, drive or whatever. But, yeah, sort of controlled. I don't know.
I like that. It's like a big, 2-day music festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, or something like that, yeah.
But also, Beck, you make a really good point. You're not far from mum and dad. Yeah. So if things go pear-shaped, then you're not an hour south of the city.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thank you so much for your call.
That's okay.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a really good solution. And thank you to everybody who called up.
Yeah.
Because it's ongoing. We'll see what happens. But like we said, the volunteers and everyone that works down there do an incredible job.
Yeah.
But there's only so much that they can do because it's a numbers thing as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of kids down there. But, thank you for everyone's contribution.
It is that time of the year, Jodes. The Year 12s are starting to wind down and we're getting ready for the last days of school. What comes with that?
Yep.
Most schools is muck-up day.
It's something unpredictable. But in
What a
the
time of
end
your life.
I hope you
This
have
is the
the
best time ever. I love you guys and we'll always stay in touch. That's what you're saying, Year 12.
We'll always
And you never stay in touch.
be friends.
Yes. And you get around in a big group huddle and you're like, wow, guys, we'll be best friends forever. And then, within 6 months, you got new friends.
Yeah.
And you don't even remember what school you went to
You got
sometimes.
new high school friends.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, it was good friends outside of high school because sometimes you graduate from primary school and you're like, and then next minute you're into term 2 of high school and you're like, who?
Yeah.
Jenny who?
Yeah. And then you find out that person down the road who you went to school with went to jail and you're like, what? That's crazy.
Isn't it?
100 Aussie schoolgirls dressed up as Ronald McDonald. They've flocked to their local McDonald's in an epic muck-up day prank that's gone viral worldwide. These girls were from a school in Glen Iris, Victoria. They sang, they danced, their iconic clown costumes to celebrate the end of their schooling careers. And I've got to say, well done, young ladies, because that is a muck-up day prank going in the right direction.
Crazy. You're crazy, girls.
Really crazy. I remember with my school,
Here we
and
go.
muck-up day was a big thing.
Set
A
the
really
scene,
big
please.
thing.
You went to boarding school.
And I went to a boarding school, and just a few of the things that happened across the years. Colouring dye in the pool, turned the pool pink, completely destroyed the filtering system, cost $50,000. That didn't go down too well. Another thing they used to do is the Year 12s, and I must have been in Year 8 or Year 9 at this stage. The Year 12s went around that night before it and stole all the shoes from all the kids in the boarding houses
Yeah, right.
and put them on the main oval.
Oh.
So thousands of shoes from the main oval the next day, and all these poor little kids trying to find matching, and they were completely all over the place. And I reckon it rained that night as well.
Oh, no.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
And my favourite was a bloke whose the teacher was, his name was Mr. Chandler, and he was the biggest dickhead that I've ever met in my life. And trust me, I've met some pretty ordinary people.
Yes.
His nickname was Prawn.
Right.
So what the Year 12s did, maybe 2 years above me, was get some Roundup, and on a big giant grass pit on the side of the oval, write Prawn. And that stayed there for months.
Yeah,
until they
right.
could get it out.
Yeah.
So sucked in, Mr. Chandler.
Yeah, that's some fairly intensive dedication to pranks at your school.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Was anyone learning anything at this
I don't
point?
think so. And I think what's even more concerning is 6 months into Year 12, when you should be really knuckling down, I think a lot of the boys were starting to talk about and think about muck-up day. So that was top priority.
Not really thinking about exams or their future or, it's the most important time of my schooling career.
Anyway, that's what we used to do on the mainland.
Yeah.
What about down in Tassie? What did you guys get up to?
Okay. Well, so down there we do things a little bit differently. So when you finish Year 10, you're done. So then you go off to like a different college and you do Year 11 and 12.
What?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
You graduate in Year 10.
So Year 11 and 12 is a different whole different system?
Yes, correct.
Oh, you guys suck. Why? Are you sure that's like that now?
I lived it. It was my high school. So, yes, that's what happened when I went. I don't know if it's changed now.
Okay.
Potentially.
Right.
But it's almost like you went off to like a tech college. It was like a different vibe.
Oh, early start on TAFE. What do you mean,
Sort
a
of.
tech college?
It's just a different, okay.
Life skills.
Why is this, producer Flack, why is this so hard? You go to a different place for Year 11 and
Don't
12.
ask Flack. He didn't go. He wasn't.
No,
I'm
You're not from Tassie.
I don't understand
you
why you have
finished.
to. You go to another school to do your 11 and 12.
You finished in Year 10, you graduated, and then you went off to another college to do Year 11 and 12.
Okay, well, that's interesting in itself. Well, once you completed Year 12, what sort of crazy pranks did
This was in
the
Year
guys
10
and girls
because
get up
then
to?
Mum decided that the mainland was the place to us and we relocated to the
Right.
Gold Coast for Year 11 and 12 where I found some normality in my life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after Year 10, on our last day, we obviously I went to a school called Ogilvy, but it was an all-girls school, so everyone called it Mogilvy.
Oh, good stuff. That's good.
So then we did what everyone did and we got the texters out and everyone signed your school uniform, which was brown and so very ugly.
Yeah.
Then we all caught the bus into the city where there was a park and a fountain, and because it was quite hot, we all ran through the fountain in our uniforms.
What? Are you serious?
Yep.
Oh, my very goodness.
Yeah.
So this is Nova 919. We're just trying to have a little bit of fun on a Wednesday morning, and you take it to such a level where perhaps the police need to get involved. What was going on down
I
there?
think we got told off by people
Yeah.
walking through, if that helps.
Yeah, oh my gosh. No wonder you had to flee to the mainland.
Your father, he's on the naughty list.
Jody and Hazy's Naughty at 6:40.
Naughty, naughty.
It's fun because it's a chance for us to really be ourselves. No, just kidding. We're not like this all the time. But if we are going to go down this path, we've got to do it now before we straighten up after 7 o'clock.
Yeah, there's certain things that I guess are discussed off air that we don't normally discuss on air, but at 6:40 all bets are off. Let's go.
And all of a sudden we're like, do you know what? Maybe we could do it on here. This is the spot, Naughty at 6:40.
All right.
Here we go. Drew Barrymore has confessed to the several public places that she's had sex, but says she's thankful her wild, carefree days are behind her. She spoke on her show, The Drew Barrymore Show. Great show, by the way.
Oh, I mean, you don't
Absolute
miss an episode.
cracker.
I mean, you're constantly saying to me, I need to leave work so I can get home and sit on the couch and watch the Drew Barrymore Show.
Remember what she got done for invading people's personal space on the show? It's like hanging up in people's mouths, basically.
Oh,
so how are you? And
man.
she's like touching noses.
Oh,
Like,
there's-
get out of it, Drew.
There's Literally, this is a whole other topic. There's someone at the gym that does that to me. It gets like super close and touchy, and I'm like, whoa.
Can't do it. That's Drew Barrymore, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it's not getting in your face, it's having sex in public places. She said this on an episode with Terry Crews. He's that bloke with the giant pecs, makes them dance.
Oh, yeah.
White chicks.
Oh, yes.
He's a great actor.
Have you ever done the deed in a public place? Oh, God. And if so, where? Several, by the way. Bathrooms, airplanes, backs of cars. I don't know. I had a good time when I was young.
Okay. She's such a wholesome character on set. Should we go around the rooms?
Why not?
Sex in public places.
Would you want
if
us
you've
to
got
do-
one as well, send us text 0400 919 919. Let's go straight to producer Flack, aka producer Muff. Morning, Muff.
Good morning.
Here we go.
That's an abbreviation of
Here we
muffin
go.
for the...
Kmart dressing room.
Oh my gosh.
I was younger, I was stupider, but, you know, you can't go past the great bargains, and I love Anko gear, so Kmart it is.
That's key to this man's heart.
Who doesn't love an $8 Anko pair of bike shorts, am I right?
Exactly.
She saw that coming. That's
Were you
really
wearing
quite
$8 Anko bike shorts at the time?
No, but she was. No, is that bad?
Yeah,
Because
it's not
I
good.
told that to producer Zoe, and she looked at me with complete and utter disdain.
Yeah.
Well, I think now that there's cameras everywhere, it's a bit more risque.
Yes.
There shouldn't be cameras directly in the change room.
No.
You should be able to get away with it.
That's
but
true.
you just can't trust them these days, can
Yeah.
you? What about you?
One just occurred to me when we were just talking about
no.
it. So I was trying to go back into the, back
The
in
archives.
the day. But no, this was probably about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, whoa! What is going on here?
I had a little nice weekend away with my husband, and I don't know if I should say this.
Yeah, well, you
I've
committed
started,
now.
haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
What time is it?
It's 6:40ish.
Okay.
It's before 7.
Okay. It was in a spa.
Oh my god!
Out
It's
the
a public
back.
spa.
Yeah, but no, not a public spa. But
in front of everyone.
No. It was in the spa out the back of the place that we were staying. They had an outdoor spa. So why not?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was unusual for us because it wasn't a Christmas, it wasn't a birthday, it wasn't an anniversary.
That is crazy.
But it was a spa, and I thought, oh, God.
Oh, good on you.
These bubbles
Good
feel
on you,
nice.
Greg. That's excellent.
Yeah, what about you?
I'm no, not really ever.
What?
Do you know what my biggest fear is? That I would do something like this in a public place, and then someone comes around the corner and they're like, "I just watched all of that. You're not very good at that, are you?" That didn't go for as long as you planned on, did it?
I have
Just like you're dancing, you're not very rhythmic, are you? Like, I'm bad at this. No one else needs to know.
I have to say, after the great naughty spa event of 2 weeks ago, the next morning I went out and checked if there were cameras anywhere.
Trust me, so did your husband, Greg. Just a real solid, fierce, aggressive debate yesterday inside the Nova 919 studios, and it always tends to go down this path. Gosh, we're a fashionable bunch, aren't we?
Aren't we? And so when a debate over fashion rages, wow, does it get willing, doesn't it? And this particular debate surrounded skinny jeans.
Yes.
Whether a man, 38-year-old man, should be wearing skinny jeans or not.
Thank you, Jodes. I appreciate that. I'm 39.
Okay.
Thank you for shaving a year off. That's nice.
Do you know what doesn't take a year off your life? Skinny jeans.
Oh, I beg to differ. Black too, by the way. I'd go for the black ones.
Skinny jeans v baggy jeans. The debate raged on.
And sometimes we just sort of wonder why you can't meet in the middle. Mine are too tight. Producers always are way too baggy. Like sometimes she gets caught indoors on the way through. Hey, do you remember a couple of weeks ago when she got stuck in the elevator because half of the jeans went down the elevator and they had to get those professionals in to get her out
A
there?
little bit of hyperbole this morning. You don't have to wear baggy jeans, just a straight leg at least.
Okay.
Oh my gosh!
Get really fired up in this space.
Sounds like you've got too much gene poisoning. That's what's happening here.
Toxic jeans.
Toxic gene syndrome. That's what's happening.
All right. Well, this is what went down yesterday on the show.
Yeah, this was fun because we also took some calls on some of those fashion trends that you just can't let go of. I'm not saying that's me.
Yes.
But maybe it is.
I think it's actually universal right now, Hazy, that the skinny jean is out. You don't have to wear baggy jeans, just straight leg. Ditch the skinny. I'm over it.
Oh my gosh. People need to see the definition of my calves. I've seen that so long. Okay.
We do not want to get rid of our emo goth stage.
Yeah.
Cargo pants are life. Cargo pants are one of the greatest inventions ever.
Cargo pants.
I cannot let go of high-waisted pants.
Oh.
The young kids like to do the low-waisted now. They're bringing back that, 90s low-waist pants situation. I just can't do it.
I absolutely live in my socks and sandals.
Please tell me we're talking Birkenstocks.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Birkenstocks with socks is where fashion and comfort beautifully come together and meet.
Yeah.
Here we go. I think what we can establish from that is you're as beautiful as you feel if you feel comfortable.
That's very, very true. We put up a poll on Instagram, producer Zoe.
Yeah.
So what did the poll actually say?
Well, camera guy Josh took the photo. He might be a youngster, but he actually agrees with you guys that skinny jeans are okay. So he's fired. But he...
I don't think you have that power.
I don't. He put up a photo of my jeans and he said, producer Zoe's baggy jeans, looking fresh or clown pants?
Ooh.
Oh, I see. The results are in.
Yes. Oh, here we go. Hang on a second. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I'm looking fresh. 88% of people said that I look fresh. 12% said clown pants. 2 of the votes for clown pants were from Greg Oddie, thanks to your husband, and producer Muff. So thanks, guys.
Producer Muff. Oh, did you? Okay.
He's wearing skinny jeans right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, the people have spoken.
Okay. Didn't someone vote called It's Britney Bitch?
Yeah,
That's
she
her
did.
Instagram handle.
Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Britney Spears voted.
voted.
Britney Spears, and she said clown pants.
You look like a clown.
Yeah.
And that's
Have you
coming from Britney.
Have you seen the state that Britney's in?
I know.
Britney doesn't own pants.
So I don't know that we can trust our little Gen Zer to be accurate with her stupid little social media poll. So I feel like we should
I like this aggressiveness.
I feel like we should get an expert in, a definitive fashionista, to tell us if skinny jeans or baggy jeans.
Please, I welcome it. Please get them.
All right, come on then.
I mean, how much of an expert are we talking? Because I'll take nothing less than an absolute fashion icon.
Well, that's what I'm going to deliver for you.
Okay.
All right.
So we're going to speak to a fashion icon next.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Okay, to get a definitive answer as to whether or not skinny leg jeans are completely done.
Let's do it.
All right, that's coming up.
Well, Hazy, there's only one way to settle this fierce debate that's going on at the moment between you and producer Zoe. It's the skinny leg jean v the straight leg jean, or the loose fitting jean.
Oh, I thought you say jump in the boxing ring.
Yeah, no.
I was like, what?
Let's take it outside.
Yeah.
Let's take it outside.
It is not that. It is to speak to an absolute Adelaide/Melbourne fashion icon, and his name is Chris Kontos. Good morning.
Hello, Chris.
So there's this issue where producer Zoe is arguing that skinny leg jeans are out, whereas Hazy is arguing that her baggy jeans are ridiculous.
So, Hazy, you're talking about wearing a skinny jean. At what age?
Look, to me, Chris, age has always been just a number. But look,
Don't start. I've asked you a direct question.
all right, so if you had to be very specific, I'd say 39?
Yeah, nah.
39?
Skinny jeans on a man should be burnt.
Yes.
She's very right.
Play the clapping
Should
sound
be
effect.
what?
Burnt.
Burnt.
Oh, okay.
clapping sound effect.
All right, so where's this clapping sound effect you speak on? Okay.
Listen, I'm a 43-year-old trying to survive in this world and trying to be cool and young, and let me tell you, a skinny jean on an older man is trauma. So,
Trauma.
I'm with you, my
It's the
friend.
only way to explain it, trauma. And I'm looking at men wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah.
I'm traumatised.
Well, then, Chris, take us through this. Jodie's married. I'm married. Producer Flack is happily engaged. The only single person here is the one that's really, really rooting hard for the straight legs / baggy pants. What's going on? Explain that to me.
It's fine. I'm telling you, you know what? It just needs to be a little bit like chic and cool, like loose on the leg. Like it can't be thin and like so foldy. Like it's just done.
Yeah.
Like it's not happening. The 90s, that's the part of the 90s that no one wants to remember and bring it back. So it's done.
Yeah.
Over.
So you are the fashion icon. So for producer Zoe, which brand are we talking? Is it Dada or is it Fubu?
Oh, my God.
Stop. Like that's even, like that's like 80s R&B. Like that's like we're going back too far now.
Can I ask a question on all those women out there who might be listening who are perhaps ticked over 40? Not me, obvs. But what sort of jeans should we be wearing then?
Oh my God, wear what you want, but also just understand what your body shape is. So like go into like a jeans, like jeans, or like go to a Levi's, go to like somewhere where they've got a really great team that learn and know about how to fit denim. I totally get why there would be this discussion because there's really no education about denim at the moment. So go in, be cool, and try what you like on, but just make sure it just looks good on you. And I hate when men wear like Haviana thongs and thin skinny jeans. It gives me anxiety. Like that's my anxiety.
Hey, Chris,
have you met Andrew? Andrew, Chris.
So while we are
in the studio, I know it.
Oh my gosh! If we are talking about outrageous fashion trends, where do you sit on denim underwear then, Chris?
Denim underwear. My God, where are you on a Saturday night? I was like, I didn't realise it was, those kind of gay clubs in Adelaide. But anyway, all good.
Our paths might strangely meet.
So watch out.
One more final question before you go. Where do you sit on Birkenstocks and socks and or Crocs?
I like Birkenstocks and socks because I feel like it's sexy when a guy wears one. So
finally.
Yeah, I think Birkenstocks are hot, and I actually think there's something in a Croc because if you've got the actual guts to wear it, I was about to say balls, but I realised what I was saying, to wear them out in public, I feel like if you've got that gusto, it's pretty sexy.
Okay, then so look, there's some pros and cons. I need to make a decision now, Chris, and I have to get rid of the skinny leg jeans, but I will continue to champion the Birkenstocks and socks.
Yes.
Yes?
I love it. Do it. I had to think about it for 2 seconds then.
I think the whole thing is you do you, boo. And if you feel confident
you do you, boo, but just don't ever wear a skinny jean in front of me.
Thank you. Thank you.
You win this one, Zoe. You win it.
Yes, of course, it was sentencing day after the death of their son, Charlie, who, of course, was hit by a car. Schoolies celebrations, we use that word very loosely, last year. And we learnt that Dhiren Randhawa, who is a 19-year-old who struck Charlie, avoided jail. So he was sentenced to, I think, a year and a month and 7 days, and that was suspended by the judge given his clear history. I think the problem that we had with Dhiren is that he took off after the incident and didn't stop and render assistance. So that was where he found himself in a world of hurt. But Charlie's dad, Grant Stevens, who of course is the police commissioner, fronted the cameras, which was very brave, outside of court yesterday after the sentencing. And I think he was just thankful that it was all over.
We're grateful that this part of the entire process is over. Each court date that's come up has been difficult, stressful and emotional for our family. We're grateful that Dhiren chose to plead guilty to this offence because that brought this part of it to a conclusion much more quickly. It's one of those things that we are continuing to learn how to live with.
Just a horrific situation for the Stevens family, and probably one of those situations that no one's going to be able to explain what it's like unless you actually go through it. So, thoughts with the Stevens family. It's obviously ongoing, but also, and we'll talk about this after 8 o'clock, the ongoing debate in terms of the role that Schoolies plays.
Yeah. And
Schoolies, it's just sort of seems like it's getting, it's iffy territory now.
Yeah, and I think when you have a situation like Charlie, there need to be learnings out of it. And have we learnt anything if we're just going to set up the same situation again where this tragedy happened last year? So we're going to have that chat after 8 o'clock. And my goodness, I'd love to hear from parents. I'd love to hear from kids who are about to go to Schoolies, Year 12 students. I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this front because I feel very mixed about it, and I know you as a parent do. This is not something you have to deal with now, but you will down the track.
All right, we'll do that after 8 o'clock. Let's now pivot in a much different direction. I saw the headline just before on Sunrise. David Warner set for return against India.
Goodness.
Like, what is going on here? David Warner's back. And just a little bit more research would suggest that he's made himself available.
So he's basically put his hand up like a wing attack outside the circle in netball and said, here if you need.
Here if you need, guys. Open, here if you need. So there's basically this big open audition for the other opening spot with Usman Khawaja. So Matt Renshaw, Cam Bancroft, Marcus Harris and young fella Sam Constas, they're not lighting the world on fire.
Yeah.
So I think Dave said, hey guys, if you want the old dog back, you know my number. And so much so that he sent a text apparently to George Bailey and also Andrew McDonald, the coach.
Right.
And Andrew McDonald wrote back just 2 words, you retired.
Oh, got that.
So I'm not sure if we're going to see Dave Warner back in action in the green and gold again, but he has literally done the netball analogy, here if you need, guys.
It smacks, does it not, of a man who has not been on the home front and done the domestic duties for a very long time. I think he's got 3 kids.
Yeah.
He's retired. He's sat around the house and he's gone, shit, this is hard.
This is ridiculous. Oh, my gosh. I'd rather spend 50 hours a week just chasing a red ball.
Yeah.
That's much easier, isn't it?
Well, not just that. I mean, the lifestyle of the international cricketer is such that you sit in a hotel room, you please yourself, really.
Yeah.
And all your meals are brought to you, your bed's made for you, your room's cleaned up, everything, all your itinerary's scheduled for you, everything's done for you. And then
Yeah.
Davey gets home and he goes, what?
Bugger this, Candace. I'm going to back play for Australia.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
100%.
I've said this to so many people. If I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and then I work here and then I go to Channel 7, I get home after 7 o'clock.
Yep.
It's a 15-hour day. That is so much easier than
Isn't
taking
it?
care of 3 kids.
100%. And David has learnt that lesson.
And sometimes I come home and Kara's standing there and she looks like a corpse. She looks like a corpse that's been through several different lifetimes. And I'm like, what's your problem? I'm never like that.
What the fork?
What the fork?
What the fork is happening?
The fork is my obsession with my smartwatch. So for the uninitiated, if you haven't heard this before, what the fork is just, it grew out of the fact that there are no forks in any kitchen in any workplace ever.
Yeah.
And so then it's just sort of extended on from that to all those situations during the day where you go, what the fork is that about?
Who's making these decisions and why do we find ourselves in such crazy circumstances? What the absolute fork?
So to give you an example of what has become a horrific obsession with not only calories but time, steps, the whole heart rate, all of it. So I can't end a workout now until I tick over to say 200 or 300 calories, as the case may be. Or I can't stop until I've done 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And it can't be 35. Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that. It cannot be 35 minutes.
You wouldn't dare.
It has to be 30 or 40. Or my steps have to get 10,000 a day. So much so that if I go to the gym now and I haven't hit what I deem to be my personal goals, I'll walk down to my car and then I'll walk around the car park a few times till I hit my steps.
Do you know, I feel this because I see a lot of people who post their
Wait,
results on Strava.
we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're absolutely on the same page. When people post their Strava results and it's 19.8 kilometres.
What are you doing?
Do you see that when people do that?
What are you?
Round it up.
It's
Or it's 20.6. You're like, round it down. Finish at 20. I don't understand it because you're like, oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to say to someone? Oh, I went for a run this morning. Yeah, ran 19.8 kilometres. You need to be able to say, I ran 20 kilometres.
This is my husband. He'll go.
He does that?
He does that
He's
because
a freak.
we do this thing at Platform, which is like a running thing, and he'll be like, oh, I did 4.8 kilometres in 20 minutes, and I'll be like,
200 more metres, Greg.
200 or 4.97. I'm like, don't.
What are you doing?
Are you a monster?
He's just a big, beautiful idiot,
It's
isn't he?
30 more metres, for God's sake.
I know.
How do you live?
13, 24, 10 for what the fork. Your obsessive little quirks.
Yes.
What are you doing? Those little things. It's almost like a scratch that needs to be, an itch that needs to be scratched, rather. So, for example, I've got one. And each and every year, it's quite a funny little quirk that I've got. I have to get blind at Christmas parties. Oh, I don't. Producer facts, though.
Okay. Drink responsibly, though.
Of course.
We will say that.
Of course, yes.
Yes, 13 24 10. Get involved this morning. Everyone who makes it onto air is on the standby list for Coldplay in Sydney. Flights and accommodation all taken care of. We all want to. I just want to know that I'm not crazy.
No.
For a start.
I think there's other people out there.
You reckon?
I reckon. Help Jodie out because she's feeling a little bit isolated at the moment.
They definitely don't have to be fitness related. It can be anything. Just those little tics that you have.
Yep.
Like those things that you just can't cope with in everyday life.
13 24 10. Let's play What the Fork. Obsessive quirks. Tell us yours. We'll take your calls next. 13 24 10.
I'm going to need a list of name and numbers of those people on Strava who did 19.8 kilometres, please.
Yeah. Right.
Now.
So you can give them a bit of feedback.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
What the fork?
What the fork?
What the fork is happening?
Let's celebrate those obsessive little quirks. Give us a call 13 24 10.
Yes, absolutely. They're those little things that you do that you're like, oh, what the fork, is that normal? So, for example, if I go to the gym and I don't hit my fitness goals, I'll just walk around the car park.
Yeah. Well, because you've got to tick it over.
So I'll be like this, walking around looking at my watch, and we have 10,000 steps.
Yes. See, I enjoy as well. Sometimes my wife, Cara, does this as well because she, on her watch, and same thing. And I'll be like, what are you doing? You'll be like, 9 o'clock at night, just doing star jumps. She's like, I'm 4 calories away from hitting my goal today. Right.
And if you don't, I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times, if you don't close your rings,
what are you doing?
What are you doing with your life?
I feel like if you didn't close your rings, you'd be sitting there in bed and you'd hear your watch be like, what are you doing, you sack of crap? Get up there and close your rings.
Or what about when your watch says to you, oh, it's time to stand up?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, is that right? And then you're like, okay, and then you stand up.
That's cool, mate, but my news goes to air at 5 o'clock and I haven't written my story, so I'm not standing up right now. I'm finishing it, for goodness sake. You feel like giving Apple a bit of feedback, don't you?
That's where it's funny, though, because then you write your story while standing up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Apple Watch.
Let's go to, is it Liza?
Oh, it's Lisa.
Lisa, my apologies, from North Brighton.
Thank you for checking.
That's okay. Lisa, what's your little quirk?
I've got 2, Jode. One's very similar to you if I go for a run on the treadmill and you've got the time, you've got the calories and you've got the distance. Mate, if I can't do everything aligning like 300 calories in 30 minutes and like 5Ks,
yes,
I don't know which one that I've got to pick. And my other one is the same with petrol in the car. Like, I've got to get it right on 50.
Yeah.
And then if the litres are similar too, and you've got to battle between which one you're going to stick right on. If it goes a few cents over, I'm like just devastated.
This is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Do you know, in particular with the treadmill, what I've worked out at my treadmill at my gym is that 2Ks is around about 150. So it sort of adds up.
Hang on, 2Ks is 150
but I'm probably
calories?
not doing your pace, Daisy.
No,
Yeah, so it
none of us are.
And I think it probably varies treadmill to treadmill, to be honest. But it's sort of, and then you've got to make the decision where obviously you're going to round it up to the kilometres. And even say if you were doing, I don't know, 4 kilometres, which is worth 300, you're going to take sort of 305. But make sure that it gets to 4 kilometres, even though it doesn't exactly match up. We're freaks.
Self-confessed freak.
Oh, it would be like picking a favourite child too if you had to pick between time, calories.
Oh, mine is my fur baby, Jodie. Surely yours is as well.
Yeah, there we go. We're going down a much more aggressive path.
Oh, thank you so much for the call. Are you feeling better about yourself?
A little bit. Are you?
You had to quit your watch, didn't you? Because you got too obsessed.
And also broke it and it got water on it. But I was getting down to the stage where it was taking over my life.
Yeah, right.
Obsessive quirks.
What the fork?
What the fork?
What the fork is happening?
My brain, running at 60% capacity.
What the fork? These are your little quirks that you've got this morning. And producer Flack just made mention of something. You and I have a bit of a quirk. We have the same breakfast post-show each and every day, which is you have 2 slices of toast. I have 1. We have baked beans and microwave eggs.
Yeah, I'm like a dog with my breakfast.
Yeah.
I will love and get excited for the same breakfast for my entire life.
And at first, when we first started working together, I was like, what is wrong with you, man? Who does eggs in the microwave and who eats baked beans? And
now you're calling me a trailblazer. I love that.
No.
Thanks, Jodes.
No.
Sorry to cut you off there, but that's what you're going to say, right?
well, let's run with that, shall we? Let's go to Mia from Hawthorne. Good morning, Mia.
Hello. Hi, Jodie and Hazy.
Hello. What's your quirk, love?
Okay, so if I'm watching TV or listening to the radio and if the volume's on an odd number, I cannot listen to it. It needs to be on an even number. But it can't be on like 34 or 36. It has to be on like 35.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
Right.
See, it's strange. It's got to be even, unless it's 35.
I don't know. 35 to me is like... I know it's not even, but it's like sort of even in a way.
What do you feel like would happen if it wasn't on the particular number?
Yeah.
Well, I know nothing would happen, but I just kind of like get the heebie-jeebies. Like I just can't listen.
Underrated expression, the heebie-jeebies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very good.
Also, Mia, it feels like it has nothing to do with the actual volume of the TV. It's just the numbers, right?
Yeah, I feel like it might be like a minor undiagnosed OCD thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you just wonder if it was sort of sitting on 33 and you weren't looking at it, you'd be like, hang on, what's going on there? That's 2 off.
Yeah.
That's 2 off. Put it up there.
And I get like if my friends are watching it, I'll be like, oh, can you just put the volume just up 1? And they won't say anything, but they'll just look at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have a reason. It just, there's a way it has to be.
You do you,
Yeah.
boo. We always say that on this show.
And like, we don't want Mia to go on an absolute rampage and start trashing the house again because the volume's went off.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mia. Teresa from Anglevale, what's your quirk?
It's not mine, it's my son's. Since the day he could walk, he automatically shuts the pantry door. He's 16 and he still does it. I could be cooking and I turn around and the door's shut, or I'll be in the pantry and he just does it, and I go to him, why? And he goes, it has to be shut. It just has to be shut. It's my,
wow.
It's my vibe.
His world's not complete or right unless that pantry door is shut.
It's annoying, and he's agreeing with me. He's sitting here and he's just doing the hand gesture. I wasn't allowed to say he was in the car, and he's just like, yes, it has to be shut.
The great irony is that Teresa's locked in the pantry right now. She can't
She goes, let me out. No, it needs to be shut. I understand this.
Yeah.
Because when I reckon it was late primary school. I went through a really crazy OCD phase.
Yeah.
And that was like, I think mine was a number. I reckon it was 5.
Yeah.
Like touching things 5 times,
Yeah.
light switches on and off 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's a weird one where you feel like things are out of order if you miss one, and that everything is complete if you go through your routine.
Yeah.
Where you're touching these things a certain amount of time.
It's definitely a thing, isn't it? Like we're supposed to give away $1,000 for birthday payday very soon, and Hazel's like, it's got to be 5,000.
Yes, I'm trying to bump it up.
Yeah.
It's not quite working
It's not
though,
gonna
is
happen
it?
though, is it?
Yes, I'm trying to have some debates with the birthday payday gods and they disagreeing with me. That's just around the corner though. Thank you so much for everyone who got involved this morning. You're
Thank
on
you,
the standby
guys.
list to see Coldplay live in Sydney.
We're all crazy.
We're all a little bit crazy and we're all in this together. That's nice.